right, let's hit the field.
All right.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
It's Friday, June 28th, and the Yankees were north of the border for Game 2 of a 4-game set with the Toronto Blue Jays. Tonight, in addition to the recap, we are talking trades as the Yankees try and get back on track. My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
New York City.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back, kid.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Yankees hand out a good old-fashioned passionate ass-whooping. Welcome back to my West Coast co-host, Terrence Kemp. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty well. Did a little movie audition last night. Love seeing the Yankees give a little ass kicking. Definitely a performance they needed, for sure, to say the least.
You said movie audition. What was the role?
I was playing a young, ambitious lawyer in a Lionsgate movie, which is the production company that did the Hunger Games movies. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
You don't strike me as the lawyer. You strike me as the defendant. Like either the wrongfully accused, like clean
the guy who's on
college
trial
kid, on trial for a murder he didn't commit, or they could rough you up a little bit, and you could play like the villain. Like you could you're skinny enough and scrawny enough to play like a crackhead. Like you could do that.
I gotta put on some weight then, man. Damn.
Yeah, I don't mean it in a bad way. I wish I was that thin. Yankees with a dominating victory finally tonight to snap the losing streak. Marcus Stroman, not a great start. Huge 3-run home run from Juan Soto to put the Yankees ahead in the 6th inning. Seemed to light a fire under the offense. Gleyber Torres back in the lineup. Big 2-run home run. Line drive single to right field. He had a good day. He was, what was his overall stats? He went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs, so good return to the lineup for him. DJ back in the lineup, picked up his first extra base hit of the season. Very nice defensive play from Volpe in the 7th. Judge had 3 hits. Verdugo had another 2-hit game. He's slowly heating back up. Jahmai Jones was hitting 9th at the DH. That made everybody laugh before the game. And then he picked up 3 hits. Yankees snap their 4-game losing streak and get back in the win column. 7-run 9th inning, 16 runs on the game. We'll talk about all of that during the recap portion of the podcast. And we're going to talk trades in just a second. But first things first, a few things I got to get out of the way. Aaron Judge taking reps at first base before the game. Did you see that?
I did see that. Yeah, the videos that surfaced on Twitter kind of floating around.
Yeah.
The prison footage.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to see him at first base during a game this season, but I think it's interesting that they're doing that they're giving him reps over there. Any thoughts?
Didn't they do that last year, though? They did during spring training. I think they kind of sporadically do it. I'm not reading so much into it. I think guys take reps at different positions. Is first base in Aaron Judge's future? Definitely. Oh, yeah. As the contract ages, 100%. I agree with you. I don't think we'll see that this year. Is it possible maybe spring training next season? I think that could be on the table.
Yeah. Majora24 says, can someone explain to me why Jahmai Jones is on the team? Well, it's funny. We get comments like that all the time, but he got 3 hits tonight, so that might be a little bit out of place tonight. He had a good day today. So Bryan Hoch also said that Austin Wells was taking grounders at second base, a move known as the reverse Posada. Jorge was actually a second baseman when he got to the major leagues, or actually when he was in the minor leagues. When he got a couple of years into his pro career, they converted him to a catcher. Found out before the game that Clark Schmidt has resumed his throwing. When he was injured on May 30th, and they gave their update, they said he would be shut down for 4 to 6 weeks. So he's tracking back. That's now 29 days later. So he's tracking back a little bit ahead of time. Also, Augustin Ramirez hit his first home run for AAA Scranton tonight. If you have a chance, go watch some highlights on that kid. He's got some insane power. Have you seen Ramirez hit yet?
I haven't seen much. Honestly, that's kind of like a prospect that's kind of surfaced out of nowhere a little bit. But yeah, he definitely has got some pretty nice power, a tool there. What's his defense like? I'm not really sure. I haven't really seen that. I definitely want a catcher that has an arm coming through the system now that we've kind of had Trevino exposed a little bit. And I love Trevino. He's a great pitch famer and he's a good defender. And Honestly, he's having a solid offensive year, but yeah, the arm is a little bit of an issue. So if this guy can come up and hit for power, have a cannon, I guess a little bit like Gary Sanchez, but if he can actually catch the ball,
Yeah.
then that would be nice. Definitely.
Now, a lot of people might not remember this, but when Gary first got to the major leagues, he was great defensively, but they kept tweaking him and making adjustments, and it became paralysis by analysis. He was actually pretty good last year with the Padres behind the dish, if you believe.
I think they messed him up. They crossed him up too much. It made him think about too many things when he was back there, and I think it just kind of got some wires crossed up.
All right, so let's move on. We're going to talk about trades tonight. So if you look at the standings and you listen to the baseball pundits, the beat writers, things like that, there's about 7 teams that could be sellers that have pieces that the Yankees could be interested in. White Sox, Rockies, Angels, Blue Jays, Cubs, Marlins, and Athletics. So TK and I are going to go over the landscape right now. TK is going to break down the players on the White Sox, the Rockies, and the Angels. I'll take the Blue Jays, Cubs, Marlins, and A's. And we'll talk about some of the names on your screen. So TK, let's talk about the White Sox.
All right, so for the White Sox, they're obviously terrible. They're definitely going to be sellers, probably going to be trading Luis Robert as well, who's their best player. Wonder where he's going to go. But as a Yankee fan, and for the Yankees' perspective, there's really 2 guys that I think are top priorities out of this entire list, honestly, and that's Michael Kopech and Garrett Crochet. Michael Kopech, 33.1 innings pitched this year, a 4.59 ERA. He's got a 1.44 WHIP, 48 strikeouts. And on Baseball Savant, he's got a 94% K percentage, 86% whiff percentage. So that's something that the Yankees are severely lacking in the bullpen right now, is guys that are straight up flamethrowers and that can strike guys out. A lot of their bullpen arms are just, Michael K made this point the other night too on his show, but their bullpen guys are contact relievers where they just kind of let you hit it and they get you out that way. So we need some strikeout arms. Michael Kopech could be a guy like that. He's got great stuff. Used to be a top prospect with the Red Sox, got traded over to the White Sox for Yohan Moncada. The only, I guess, wart with him is health. If you look at his career, he's had some health concerns. I think he's had Tommy John in his career. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. So he's a Tommy John guy, but that's pretty common nowadays anyway. But definitely a guy that I would be very interested in if I were the Yankees. And as well, in that same package, Garrett Crochet, who's starting for the White Sox right now. So he's got some more innings, 94 innings pitched, 94 and a third, 3.05 ERA, 0.94 whip, 130 strikeouts, 97% K percentage, and 92%, whiff percentage. So another guy, electric stuff, just straight up flamethrower. He hides the ball, has a little bit of a funky motion. I think he probably slots in as a reliever, obviously, this year, but the Yankees could look at him in the rotation next year. So that's definitely a really nice piece to have.
Let me just chime in real quick. It's not a 97% K percentage. He's actually in the 97th percentile in Baseball Savant of strikeout percentage. So he's better than 96% of the league, basically. But he's a guy who we don't really know if he's going to have the innings, down the stretch. But he's got unbelievable stuff. Also, the Rockies possibly looking to unload some folks. They're having a tough year. Justin Lawrence and Ryan McMahon. Any thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, Justin Lawrence, go look up his stats. He's awful. He's had a terrible career in the major leagues. I just kind of wanted to throw a wild card in there where the Yankees like to pick up those guys that are projects. Matt Blake gets a little something to do on the days off, right? So he's got like a sidearm release. He's a little bit of a wild card, so I think he's not going to cost the Yankees anything. He's about 95 with a sinker, 85-mile-an-hour sweeper. I kind of look at him as like an Efros type if you don't think he's going to be ready or effective this year. He's got 26 and 2/3 innings pitched, 5.74 ERA, lol, 1.73 whip, and 22 strikeouts. He's in the 93rd percentile for barrel percentage, 87th percentile for ground balls. So, definitely numbers that don't jump out at you, but he's got a funky release. And I definitely think there's something there that Matt Blake, if you get his hands on him, he could probably fix a little something. And then Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon is an obvious one. I think that he's a perfect fit on the Yankees. There's been reports that the Rockies are not willing to unload him. I don't really feel like that makes any sense. Where are they going? Nowhere, that's where. And I think that's really stupid. And also, I guess the only thing I would be concerned about with him is the Coors effect. Is that a thing? We see that a lot of times with offensive players coming out of Colorado, as soon as they leave that market, their offensive numbers dropped. You see that with Trevor Story, I guess to a certain extent, Nolan Arenado, but I think age probably has something to do with that. So Ryan McMahon would love to have him. He probably costs a little bit more, obviously, than you'd like, but he'd be a perfect fit on the Yankees. Go look up his Baseball Savant page. And last but not least, for me, the Angels. Ben Joyce, I think that was a guy who was in Tennessee in college. Dude is a straight-up beast, 6'5", 225. He's only 23 years old, throws over 100 miles an hour. He's got 10 and a third inning pitch, 4.35 ERA, 9 strikeouts, 1.55 whip, and he's in the 99th percentile in fastball velo. So
good heat.
He is legit. I guess Tommy John maybe probably in his future just because of how hard he throws, right? You're just going to have to address the elephant in the room there. But, man, he would be awesome to have on the team. I do think that the Angels would be asking for a lot because he's so young and he has so many years of control, but maybe worth asking. And then the last guy, maybe Luis Rengifo, the second baseman, who is like super low-key, having a great year with Anaheim. He's under control next year as well, which is perfect because one of the young middle infielders may be ready after next year. And he only makes about $4.4 million. He's not a great fielder, though, but he's a switch hitter, which is nice. And this year he's got 246 plate appearances. He's batting .307. So that's definitely interesting right there. Only 4 home runs, 20 stolen bases, .417 slug, 772 OPS, and 90th percentile in K percentage. So he's definitely a contact guy, which I definitely think would be nice to have in the lineup. And I know Glaber had a good game, but let's be honest, he hasn't had a good year. His attitude's kind of been bothering me. I wanted to punt him to the sun before this game, but I don't know if the Yankees are willing to move him, but Luis Rengifo could be a guy that could slot in the second really nicely for us.
Yeah, I'm not thinking that we're going to throw a huge party over Gleyber Torres just yet. I mean, one good game, he might slip back into that brain-dead Gleyber tomorrow. But if he gets hot, it could eliminate one of these trades that the Yankees have to make. Blue Jays obviously have been talked about as possible sellers. Vladdy Jr. is the big name. If the Yankees really wanted to make a splash, they could try and get that done. He obviously played well tonight. Hit a home run yesterday. But I'm not a huge Vladdy fan. IKF also been mentioned in the comments a few times. He's playing more infield this year. He had a home run today. He can play Gold Glove, or was it yesterday he had a home run? Let's see. Today, 7 home runs. So he plays Gold Glove caliber third base. That's where the Yankees should have played him when they first traded for him. I wouldn't hate that. But the first time that Boone puts him in center field, I'm just going to have a freaking aneurysm. Kevin Gossman, if they decide to have a fire sale, he's a pitcher I would be interested in. When he's nasty, he's nasty. He's got a kind of an up and down year, 4.26 ERA. Barrios is another contract I think they'll try and get out from under and maybe eat some of the money. 31 years old. He's under contract through 2028, but he's a solid pitcher, and he's got one of the best sliders in baseball. I don't think the Yankees are going to be in on it, but I didn't think they were going to be in on Josh Donaldson either. Cubs, Cody Bellinger. This is one that's very interesting to me because the Cubs have fallen out of it. He can play first base. He can play the outfield, 2 positions where the Yankees could use a little insurance there. He can DH. He's a left-handed bat with some pop. He had a tough start to the year, 226 in April. Remember, he signed late, 290 in May, 294 so far in June. So he's heating up with the weather. His on-base percentage has gone up every month. I think he would fit in nicely at Yankee Stadium. Probably going to opt out after the season and try and get a better contract. Cubs are going nowhere, so you can probably get him at a decent price, moderate maybe, but I would want them to get him early because right now we need him with Stanton out. Like that's when if we're going to make this deal, I want them to do it like now. If you wait too long and Stanton comes back, you create another logjam. Marlins, Tanner Scott, obviously the biggest left-handed pitcher available on the market other than Garrett Crochet. I think there's going to be a bidding war for him. Jazz Chisholm having a solid year. You and I both were interested in him. 260 average, 10 home runs, 15 stolen bases. Good barrel percentage. Great base running ability. Athletic. Downside, he's not really a second baseman anymore because he wasn't very good over there. So that's the trade landscape. We've also got... Oh, wait. I forgot to mention Oakland. These are 2 that we threw in there just kind of for fun.
Don't forget about Oakland.
Yeah. Miguel Andujar hitting .328. I doubt the Yankees would bring him back, but he wouldn't cost much. They gave him away for nothing. They could probably get him back for practically nothing. And then Mason Miller's the number one name on the market, but it does not sound. Yeah, it does not sound like they're going to deal him. It sounds like they're going to hold on to him. So
I will say, and this is scary for Yankee fans, if they do deal Mason Miller, unfortunately, I think he's going to the Baltimore Orioles. They got the most prospect capital to get him. He's a perfect fit on that team, and that would really make my heart hurt. But if he's getting dealt, I think he's going to Baltimore.
So who are your 3 targets? Like we wanted to make this fun, so we're not going to trade for 6 or 7 players. Let's say you got to pick 3 from that list that we just talked about. Who are your 3 guys?
All right, I'm definitely going with Crochet and Kopech in the bullpen. I think those are 2 really valuable arms and 2 arms they desperately need because it's something they don't have, which is electric strikeout stuff. I'd want Mason Miller, but that's unrealistic. The infielder I'd want is Ryan McMahon, but that's unrealistic. So a little bit more realistic, I'd probably go with Rengifo as the bat that they get. A switch hitting contact bat would be pretty nice. Yeah, his defense isn't great, but I like that there's only 1 more year of control after this. At low money, about $4.5 million, probably about $5 million next year, maybe $6 million. So you're cutting a little payroll there. You're also buying time for one of the young middle infielders to be ready. So a George Lombard Jr. or a Yorbit Vivas, somebody like that. So my 3 guys in a realistic world, I'm going to go with Kopech, Crochet, and Rengifo.
Very, very interesting. So my 3 that I would go with, I don't think McMahon is that unrealistic. I think the Yankees could do what it takes to get Ryan McMahon. I think his swing fits in perfectly at Yankee Stadium. The Coors effect, I think people make too much about that because your home numbers drop a little bit, but your road numbers tend to go up because there's not that dichotomy between the 2 parks anymore. You just kind of become a normal hitter. He's a decent on-base guy, solid infielder, a little bit of power. Probably wouldn't cost an astronomical amount to get him. I think they could get him without giving up any top 5 prospects. Might have to give up multiple top 10, like a 7 and an 8, or maybe like a 7 and a 10 or something like that. But Bellinger, I think he could be a decent fit if you get him soon. I wanted him this offseason. His versatility is huge to me. He can play center. That would let Judge DH. He can play right. That would let Soto DH. He can play first base at needed. He can platoon with Giancarlo Stanton when he comes back, and he's a little bit injury prone himself. He had an injury earlier this year, had a lot of injuries in the past, had some back injuries. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to get him and then not play him every day, play him like 5 days a week. But contact hitter, postseason experience. So far we got McMahon and Bellinger, and then Tanner Scott to me is a must get. You got to get bullpen help. I'm not going to neglect the bullpen. Every lefty that the Yankees have thrown out there this year has been a disaster. So we need a solid, reliable left-handed pitcher. Tanner Scott to me is the guy. So my targets are Ryan McMahon, Cody Bellinger, and Tanner Scott. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Tim Hill looked pretty good tonight.
yeah, Tim Hill wasn't bad. Yeah.
No, he wasn't bad. He throws strikes and he's got a funky arm angle, so it's a little bit of a different look. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some bullpen help. I like it. Tanner Scott, I definitely wouldn't be mad at that. And Ryan McMahon, I definitely wouldn't be mad at that either because that's a corner infield guy, and that's kind of like desperately what we need the most, I think. But just because I haven't been on the show in a little bit, for those of you who don't know, I was in New York. I was at the game, so I was away for a little bit. But the elephant in the room, Stanton getting hurt and Dominguez getting hurt, because if Dominguez was healthy, he's on the team right now, and he's playing center field for us. And I don't know about you, but I'm fully convinced he'd be absolutely raking right now. Oh, yeah. And I think that if that were the case, then how do you look at your fan base in the face and say we're sending him back down because we're activating Stanton?
Oh, they would do it. Believe me, I've seen them do stuff like that before.
I know they would do it. I know they would do it. I'm just saying, like, we've talked about this before. Eliminate Stanton and his contract off this team and put Dominguez in center. This is a better, more versatile team. We've said that. The only reason that Stanton is on the team, unfortunately, is that he's got an owner's contract.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but it's a moot point because Dominguez is out until at least August anyway, but it gets me depressed to even think about it. So let's go on with the recap.
Let's get it going.
Happier things. So we spent a long time on trades, so I'll kind of move through the recap fairly quickly. Blue Jays jumped out to an early lead again. Stroman was kind of in and out of trouble early. Yankees tied it at 1 in the bottom of the 4th. One of the more fun plays of the season, in my opinion. Judge was on first, Soto was on second. J.D. Davis hit a little bouncer to second, could have been a double play, but Judge intentionally got caught up in between the bases. That allowed Soto to come around and score on an amazing slide. I thought that was one of the best slides I've ever seen. He got in there and tied the game. Soto had a really good day. Blue Jays went back ahead in the bottom of the fifth. They knocked Stroman out of the game. He was visibly yelling at his teammates a couple of times. Looked like he yelled at either Volpe or Gleyber Torres, throw the ball after a double play. Not sure they could have done anything differently on that play, honestly. Stroman was done after 4 1/3 innings. 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. His ERA for the season is now at 3.29, 95 2/3 innings pitched, 70 strikeouts, 43 walks, and a very respectable whip at 1.29. He didn't exactly come out and dominate like we could have used from the bullpen. It was still kind of, or from the starting pitcher, we still had to use a lot of the bullpen. But, hey, better than giving up 8 runs in the first 2 innings. I'll say that. Yankees went back ahead, bloop single by Jahmai Jones. Amazing bunt single from Anthony Volpe, and then Juan Soto with the biggest swing of the year so far.
There it goes. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. Home run for Juan Soto.
20th home run, 60 RBIs. TK, that was a big, big swing.
I don't think it's really outrageous to say that could be a season-defining swing. No joke. They were spiraling out of control a little bit. They needed to get out of the rut. They were playing really poorly, or they lost their lead on the division with the Orioles. And then it was pretty obvious, too, as soon as that, it almost felt like it was like a dam waiting to burst, and Soto just burst it open, and the offense, just like the floodgates open, and the offense just got it going. So when the season is done, we could look back at that swing, and it could be a season-defining home run, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big, big swing. I like that it was a no-doubter. It wasn't like a pop-up that carried out.
Right.
He hit it off the second deck. He stood there and watched it, and you could just see the body language on the bench. Everybody just lightened up, right? Everybody was just – Kikuchi was throwing a perfect game through like 3 or 4 innings today. And, I mean, the Yankees ended up scoring 16 runs. Like, it just unleashed the floodgates.
Yeah.
So, big, big – home run for Juan Soto. Judge followed up with a single off the left field wall. He smoked it, hit it too hard to get to second base. And then Gleyber Torres absolutely demolished a baseball into the second deck.
Track wall. See ya.
Gleyber Torres has gone yard again.
It's Gleyber Day.
Honestly, Gleyber had a couple of very good swings today. There were a couple that he fouled off where the swing looked really good. His body language looked so much better after he hit that home run. It's like he made some adjustments maybe, and they got results, and that's the type of thing that can flip confidence, right? Mm-hmm. If you make an adjustment and it doesn't work, you like hammer it out for weeks and weeks and weeks, it can really put you in a bad slump. We saw it happen with Jeter one year when he tried to get rid of the leg kick. Finally, he just tossed it and started hitting again. Whatever Gleyber Torres did, he just looked like a completely different hitter today on his swings, and that was a huge home run. Maybe those 2 days off were a wake-up call. Maybe he got some work done in the cage. Either way, very, very positive signs from Gleyber Torres. Any thoughts on GT tonight?
Definitely, I think he got a little bit of a kick in the ass with the benching. He looked really like sad on the bench. I remember like the first game they benched him, they were like showing him on camera, and he was like pouting a little bit, which honestly is kind of a poor attitude, I think. And he's in, it's obvious he has not had a good year. Whether that's because the contract year is getting in his head or, he's not playing well, so he's getting down on himself. I don't know. But this is a game he desperately needed. And if he's going to heat up, I'm rooting for it. I want him to play well because that means that he's helping the Yankees win. But he hasn't this season. If they need to address second base at the deadline, they will. And I think he's probably looking at the writing on the wall like, man, like I'm probably not – he's lost himself at least $50 million. At least. So – and I think he's probably going to end up signing a 1-year contract somewhere, like a prove-it deal. But, yeah, good swings tonight, played well. Let's see if he can continue it. 1 game is not really a sample size at all. I'm not really going to sit here and say, oh, he's back. Can he sustain it? Let's see him have a good July. Ask me August 1st what he looks, or ask me at the trade deadline. Let's say that. Ask me at the trade deadline what he looks like.
Right. I need to see him have a hot month of July. I want to see, and not only on offense. We got to see the head get in the game on the bases. We got to see the defense improve. But baby steps tonight was a very good first step of what could be 1,000-mile journey. So top of the 8th inning, he picked up his second hit of the game. Verdugo ripped an RBI double. The Jays, by the way, had home runs from Vladdy and from IKF in the meantime. DJ followed up with his first double of the season. That made it 9-5. Yankees exploded for 7 runs in the top of the 9th, and they scored a season-high 16 runs. Ben Rice actually came in to catch his Major League debut as a catcher, and Tim Hill shut it down. He's looked pretty good the last couple of outings, and the Yankees snapped their losing streak.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
David Smith with a pretty good comment, which I was thinking this a little bit too. The I want it moment from Rodon yesterday was a turning point. He gave up 8 runs. That felt like rock bottom to me, down 8-0. Mm-hmm. But then after that, he settled down, and then the Yankees fight back to win today. The guy who was crying on the bench a week ago, maybe turned it around by being a little bit tough and gutting it out. And, that was huge. We saw I don't want to praise Stroman for yelling at his teammates, but I like that, he doesn't accept mediocrity, right? He was trying to get his guys going. And that seemed to get it back on track a little bit. And then obviously Juan Soto, as he goes, we were talking in the green room, as he goes, the Yankees go. And tonight I am handing out the belt because it's been a while, and Juan Soto is the winner.
Deserves it.
It's the longest we've gone into a podcast or a recap before we gave out the belt, maybe ever. 27 minutes in. But 11th belt of the season for Juan Soto. I didn't have time to update the leaderboard yet, but we'll update it pretty soon. But nice job from Mr. Soto. Nice job from the Yankees. TK, let's take a few more final thoughts here, and then we will wrap it up.
I do want to address a comment I've been seeing about Jock Peterson as a possible option at the trade deadline. Just real quick, this year he's in Arizona. I think he's making about $10 million. He's hitting .282 in 234 plate appearances, and he's got 10 home runs. Pretty solid player there. I don't know. What do you think, Derek? I like him. Lefty swing. He's got a little bit of an uppercut swing, but I like him.
I'll tell you a fun Jock Peterson story. So every year I do a MLB The Show franchise with a different team. And last year it was the Phillies, and I traded for Jock Peterson, and I just stunk with him. I just stunk for probably 50 at-bats or whatever. And then in the playoffs, I get to the playoffs, and I'm like, man, should I even play him? I played him, 5 home runs in one game. Unbelievable. 5 home runs. New record. But I'll never forget that. It was the most fun I've ever had playing a video game. But this is a big win for the Yankees. It takes the pressure off. The offense broke out. You don't want everybody to be hot at the same time, because then everybody cools off at the same time, and it kind of feels like everybody got cold at the same time, and now everybody's heating back up at the same time. I really want Juan Soto and Aaron Judge to have an extended hot streak, but we need some protection for Judge as well. If Gleyber Torres can get hot for once, that makes a big difference. And he's just had an awful season. He had a good spring training, but it's been a real challenge. And maybe tonight was, getting the monkey off his back. And
honestly, Volpe's kind of cooled off a little bit last probably 30, 40 games or so. He hasn't hit a home run in about 39 games, I think it is now. I'm not expecting him to hit home runs. I was saying that in spring training. I don't need him to hit home runs, but I'd like to see him hit the ball a little bit better. He's had a very good second year, and his defense is stellar. I'm not going to sit here and complain about Anthony Volpe, but I'd like to see him turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot to play something here that we always play when Juan Soto does something great. So pay that man his money.
Pay that man his money.
Yeah.
All right,
700 mil.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Probably going to do a voicemail show tomorrow. It is Saturday, and I don't always do them on Saturday, but, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who want to have their voice heard about tonight's game because there was so much that went on, and it was finally a feel-good win. So call in at 718-899-1068. All that good stuff. Like and subscribe. We're over 40,000 now and building towards 50, so help us out, and we'll see you next time.